Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Here we go. We're going to dive right into the top 25 from the AP Top 25 for the college football poll heading into week 3. And so week 2 consisted of a lot of roller coaster crazy games. But hey, that's what we love about college football. It's just the excitement, and you just never know as upsets can happen when you least expect them. And man, they came out in bunches yesterday. And so we'll dive right into the top 25 here. And so right off the bat, you see Georgia now 2-0. They were previously ranked 2, moving up to number 1. They beat Sanford 33-0. And so I get it, it is Sanford there. Compared to a school like UGA, they took care of business, but we all know what they did to Oregon. And so that eye test screams that Georgia is legit. They'll be playing South Carolina next, but this team, they look very well. So having them at number 1, I totally agree with that. Alabama Crimson Tide at number 2, falling one spot. I totally agree with that. I did call it that it was going to happen. They barely survived against Texas. A lot of factors went into their favor. Texas quarterback getting hurt. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks moving forward. And then just, Bryce Young made a big play toward on that last drive. And so they were able to get into field goal range and secure the win. But they'll be playing against UL Monroe next. So it should be an easy matchup for the Crimson Tide. But again, after this past week, is anything really easy? We'll see. But putting them at number 2, I agree with that. Now the Buckeyes, I'm a Buckeye fan, but for the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 3, I think that's right where they should be. I mean, they did beat Arkansas State 45-12, and so I was very impressed with Marvin Harrison Jr. and the performance that he had, getting 3 receiving touchdowns. Obviously, the Buckeyes are still without their top wide receiver right now, and so I expect them to still miss the game next week against Toledo. Obviously, strength of schedule right now a concern for the Buckeyes because you think about it, Notre Dame just lost to Marshall, and so that's going to hurt the strength of schedule there. Wisconsin losing, that's kind of big as well because that's the kind of game that we were looking up for in terms of like next upcoming big game. And so with them knocking out of the top 25 there, that's hurting the Buckeyes from a strength of schedule point of view right now. And so of course it's still early in the schedule, but just a couple of things right there. So putting the Buckeyes at 3, I understand that. Defense certainly is looking much better through the first couple weeks compared to last year. Now Michigan at number 4, 2-0. They beat Hawaii. They'll be playing UConn next. And so, the quarterback play is going to be what we're going to be watching for Michigan moving forward. But they seem to be in a good situation at the quarterback realm. And so, good news there for the Wolverines. At 5 is Clemson. Now they beat Furman 35-12. And so speaking of quarterback, another team that will be looking, DJU, how long will he be the quarterback? Can he be the guy that really can help, Clemson offense elevate, Because right now I feel like the rest of the team has pretty much been carrying him. And so we'll see how he looks in big game competition. Does he give Clemson what they need when you need a quarterback to go out there and make the play? They certainly have the talent on this team. And so, but right now they're at number 5 and they'll be playing Louisiana Tech next. At number 6, you have Oklahoma, in which they beat Kent State 33-3. But for the longest, there was a good while where Kent State was hanging with them. But when they decided to score, it really started moving forward. They'll be playing Nebraska next, which is good news if you're Oklahoma. Nebraska will be moving on from Scott Frost. From their team, so we'll see how they look, moving forward. But for Oklahoma, it's an opportunity to go out there and beat a Big Ten team, and so they'll be up for that. And we'll continue to watch and see how they look. At number 7, USC 2-0. They were previously ranked 10, and now they're number 7. They beat Sanford on the road 41-28, and they'll be playing against Fresno State. I say watch that game against Fresno State. That can be a tricky game. It'll be late Saturday and stuff like that, but it could be a potential trap game there. But it's going to be very intriguing nonetheless. And USC at number 7, totally agree with that. All right, so Oklahoma State at number 8. They were previously number 11. They beat Arizona State 34-17, and they'll be playing against Arkansas Pine Bluff. And so, honestly, they was like a team that represented the Big 12 last year, and so I have a feeling that they can be that again. But of course, we'll look to see how things look down the stretch. But put them at number 8, I like that. Now for Kentucky, they jumped up from 20-9, and personally, this is one of the, I guess, this upcoming week. I get that they beat Florida, and Florida was ranked 12, but Florida had just jumped up from being unranked to 12, which could have potentially had been an overreaction. And quite frankly, their quarterback single-handedly gave that game to Kentucky. And so jumping them up 11 spots, I get all the chaos that inspired, but to me, when I think top 10 teams, I do not think of this Kentucky team. Don't get me wrong, they're a great team. definitely top 20, but I don't know if they received, in my opinion, too big of a boost all the way to number 9. But we'll see. I mean, don't want to take anything from this team. They'll be playing Youngstown State, so they'll be able to go out there and perform against them. But we'll see when they match up against a team like Georgia's of the world. I want to see how do they look in in those type of games moving forward. But nevertheless, they did beat Florida, so big time win for them. And the committee certainly, well, the AP poll certainly did acknowledge that for them. At number 10 is the Arkansas Razorbacks, 2-0. They beat South Carolina, Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina Gamecocks 44-30. So, I mean, impressive there. They'll be playing against Missouri State there. So they should go out there and be able to really just, have a good game there. But certainly putting them at number 10, I can see it. I can see it. All right, now at number 11, Michigan State Spartans. And so they beat Akron 52-0. They'll be going down the road to Washington. For a team like Michigan State, it's really going to come down to, when they play those big opponents, especially later on in the Big Ten, how would they match up against Michigan? How would they match up against Ohio State? But putting them at number 11 from 14 for right now, I'm okay with that. And now at number 12, BYU at number 12. They were previously 21 and they beat Baylor in two overtimes, 26-20. And they will be playing against the Oregon Ducks next week. And so I like the strength of schedule that this team is building. I do like that. And honestly, this is a team that I will be watching. They're very interesting. That was a big win for them to beat Baylor and stuff like that. But I'm putting them at number 12 after the win that they had and everything. I could make a case for 12. For me, probably between, where they're at right now and 15, somewhere in that range sounds about right. I was thinking they would have moved up to 15-ish or 14-ish, but 12, I won't argue with that. I won't argue with that. All right, at number 13, the University of Miami. So they did beat Southern Mississippi 30-7. But if you watch the game, you'll realize that the game was a lot closer than the final score said for the Hurricanes. And so they'll be playing against Texas A&M, who's coming fresh off an upset loss to Appalachian State. And so Texas A&M will be coming and looking to, avenge their loss and trying to cause one for the Canes. And so that's going to be a great matchup. Seeing Miami versus Texas A&M, I'm excited for that. I mean, Tyler Van Dyke, he's an opportunity to go out there really shine in this game. I really want to see this matchup here for the Canes to really get my strong evaluation of them. No more Bethune-Cookman, no more Southern Mississippi. This is Texas A&M. Let's see what you really look like here against the Texas A&M team. This is the team I think has the most to gain this upcoming week if they can find a way to beat Texas A&M this upcoming week. Now at number 14, you have Utah. They were previously ranked 13, and they did beat Southern Utah 73-7, but nobody was impressed by that. So they even went down a spot from their previous rankings to 14, in which I get it. I do get that. Florida losing certainly doesn't help them at all. And what they have next is San Diego State next Saturday. All right, so at number 15 is Tennessee. So Tennessee, they were previously ranked 24, had a nice upset win on the road at Pittsburgh. I did project Tennessee to win that game in an upset there, and they did come through, but they won 34-27. So very impressed with that. In overtime, I should add. So next would be Akron, so they shouldn't have any hiccups there. So putting them at 15, I do like that for them. And of course, we'll see how they look whenever we get to the SEC competition. But putting them at 15, I am more than okay with that. At 16, the North Carolina Wolfpacks, they beat Charleston Southern 55-3. They'll be playing against Texas Tech next week, and we'll see how that matchup goes. I feel like that game could be a close game as well against Texas Tech for North Carolina State. But right now they are 2-0. We all know the first week they survived the first week of play, and so but put them at 16, I get that. As for Baylor, they dropped from 9 to 17. That BYU team maybe just better than we initially thought. And so putting them at 17, though, I'm okay with that. Putting them at 17. Obviously, they'll be coming up against Texas State next week. They should be able to take care of business against that. But putting them at 17 for now, I'm okay with that. All right, so at number 18 for the Florida Gators, they dropped from 12 to 18. And I think the biggest impression that we realized is that maybe there was a slight overreaction from week one with the Florida Gators, myself included. That victory they had was like, oh, they finally have a quarterback, Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson, he's got to be more consistent. You can't be up, can't be down, because one week we love him, the next week we hate him. And he cost his team that game. He cost his team that game. There's no ands, no whats, no ifs about it. He gift wrapped that game for Kentucky. And so that was on him. But it's up to the young man to mature and to be able to, go out there and show that that was just a bad game and that he learned from his mistakes and that his confidence is not rattled. So we'll see how that plays out. At number 19, we've got Wake Forest. They're 2-0. They just beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, is looking like one of the more impressive Vanderbilt squads. I still believe that, but they beat Vanderbilt 45-25, so they go up from being ranked 23 to 19. They'll next be playing Liberty. That will be an interesting game to watch. Cannot go to cannot overlook Liberty still. All right, so at 20, Ole Miss 2-0, and they will be they just beat Central Arkansas 59-3, and they'll be playing Georgia Tech next, in which I expect Ole Miss to be able to win that one as well. Previously, it was ranked 22, but obviously the test for this team is yet to come on the schedule, and that's what we'll be watching moving forward for Lane Kiffin and his squad. Now, Texas going from unranked to 21, despite the fact that they did lose and their quarterback is out 4-6. But some of the positives is that you took Bama to the T and you laid the blueprint how to beat them guys. So that's going to help Texas in terms of recruiting. That's going to help their confidence moving forward when they do join the SEC. It's going to play such a big factor for this team. And so they just barely lost this game here, but they should hold their head up high and they were rewarded for their efforts still, putting Texas ranked 21. And so I'm excited to see how the rest of this schedule is going to play out. Sarkisian's already said, like their goal is to win their conference. And honestly, they have a chance to do just that. So I'll be watching to see how the Longhorns do, but they should feel confident from how their game went against Alabama. Penn State at 22. They beat Ohio. They were previously unranked. They're 2-0. They'll be playing against Auburn coming up next at Auburn. A tough place to play at for sure, but certainly going to be continuing to watch how Penn State does moving forward. Obviously, you had the matchup against Purdue to start off the year. And so, I mean, a lot of things to look forward to. A lot of things to look forward to this upcoming season. But right now, Penn State, they are 2-0. And so I'll be looking forward to seeing how this team, unravels in the Big Ten, especially with Wisconsin losing and stuff like that. Let's see if Penn State will be a team to challenge Ohio State and Michigan in the division. At 23, you got the Pittsburgh Panthers, who did lose to Tennessee in overtime. It was overtime, so dropping from 17 to 23 right there. I can understand that. And then their next matchup is Western Michigan. And so obviously the ACC is a team that, outside of Clemson, perhaps you like Miami, perhaps you like North Carolina State. But if you don't like either of those two teams, Pittsburgh is still an option in the ACC. And they're a team that will get better as the year goes on. So let's see, Texas A&M, they dropped 6 spots after losing to Appalachian State. Again, Appalachian State's the kind of team that honestly, if you schedule a team like Appalachian State on your schedule and all of a sudden they end up, like, because they're not going to be ranked most of the time when you play them, but they play like a ranked team. They're basically like an unranked ranked team, and they're going to come in there and give anybody a run for their money, and you're going to be in for a dogfight when you fight these guys. So I don't blame Texas A&M for that loss there. Appalachian State, they should have won their first opener, honestly, but Appalachian State's a very good squad. But the real test here for Texas A&M moving forward is bouncing back and being ready for Miami. It's an opportunity to go ahead and rebound here because the season is still a lot to play for here. So that's going to be a great matchup this upcoming week. And then at 25, the Oregon Ducks, who were shell shocked in the first week, by Georgia, they rebound nicely against Eastern Washington and they scored 70 points. They won 70-14, but they're going to be going against BYU. So BYU will be a tough, and I mean tough, opponent here for the Ducks. So let's see how they look now against BYU. Georgia, the eye test tells you Georgia is picking up where they left off last year. Can BYU, still sustain against the Oregon Ducks, or will Oregon be able to rebound here against BYU and sort of you can't really avenge that loss here, but you can show that Oregon is still a quality top 25 team. But there you guys have it. Teams that dropped out of the top 25, you'll notice that Notre Dame dropped out from being number 8 to being unranked. So massive drop for them. Wisconsin dropped out from being 19 to unranked, and Houston dropped out. They were previously 25. So those are the 3 teams that dropped out of the top 25. But thank you guys so much for staying with me here throughout this top 25. Let me know which key matchups are you looking forward to? Which teams do you feel like, are overrated and stuff like that? Which team did perhaps the committee get wrong when it came to the rankings? Who jumped up too much? Who fell out too much? What's the overreaction so far that you're hearing this season? Let me know all of that, guys. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And hey, let's enjoy this college football season. With that being said, thanks again for watching. See you guys next time.